Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to another episode of The Season Keepers, the show where the only two people we recommend keeping for the season is us. My name's Matt, aka Clean Sheet Wipeout.
My name's James, aka FPL Drug.
How you doing, mate?
Good, thank you. Actually did a COVID test though yesterday. Feeling a bit under the weather, so hopefully that'll come back negative and it's just normal winter flu.
I bloody well hope so.
I hope.
How was it shoving that thing up your throat and up your nose?
Not fun. Not the best with my gag reflex, but we'll save that kind of X-rated content for another day.
Just as well, mate. Yeah, I got the text message to say that I've now got to self-isolate because I've come into close contact with someone who's been positive. No idea where. It was probably Tesco's, to be honest. That's the only place I go. But
yes, I'm not
frustrating. Very frustrating. But at least Ellie can still go out and walk the dog, so he'll just bond a bit more with her for the next week.
Yeah, that's something, I guess.
Exactly. Gives me more time to watch the football. That's for sure. Right. Let's jump on to these game reviews. Obviously, we had a blank game week, so there's only six games to touch on, and then we can chat about our teams. First things first, Sheffield United 1, Newcastle 0. They got a fucking win.
Finally. I'm very glad that we don't have to slate them and say, oh, another loss.
Drink.
They pulled it out of the bag, and they did play well, in fairness. They're constantly attacking. As a Wilson owner watching the game, it was frustrating because Newcastle just going forward, well, they didn't go forward, to be honest. Their chances were few and far between. Obviously, Wilson had a good header that just went wide. But other than that, just tactically inept, I think, from Bruce. A poor display. And I don't think Newcastle fans are happy at all with Bruce at the moment.
He's came out and admitted that, hasn't he? I think in his press conference, he said he got it wrong and he apologised for getting it wrong. Whether he changes, anything this weekend is something we'll have to wait and see. But it's not what Newcastle fans want to be seeing, going away to Sheffield United, not really putting up much of a fight, coming away with a loss. And the way that they're going at the moment, they're going to find themselves in relegation scrap if they don't turn their form. Exactly.
They could easily get caught up in it. There's not too many points between them and the drop zone. So they can quite easily fall into bigger problems.
Yeah. I think two impressive players that stood out for me for Sheffield United was Ampadu and Bogle. I think both of them played particularly well for Sheffield United this time around.
Yeah, great performance from them. Obviously, Bogle, I've been calling him Boggle in my head. There's a cheap buy for anyone. I think is he 4 million on the dot? Or is he 4.3?
4.3 million.
Yeah, he's very cheap, obviously. So a potential option if Sheffield United look a bit more solid. Obviously, it's more kind of to enable you to get funds elsewhere. Say you need that 0.3 or 0.2 million to get a Kevin De Bruyne. You downgrade a 4.5 defender to Bogle and stick him on the bench.
Yeah, very much so. Because obviously they got a bloody tough run coming up. So you're not going to be playing Bogle as a defender. They play Tottenham, Man United, Man City, West Brom and Chelsea in their next 5. So
shove him on the bench.
Yeah, exactly. It's a tough run of games. But, to have a 4.3 defender that looks like he's going to be playing, is it's always handy. He's got 90 minutes under his belt, played particularly well in both. So I can't see him being dropped if he's fitted in and, he's kind of improving their form. Right, let's jump on to the second game, and it was Burnley 0, Man United 1.
Now, I don't want to be a bit hasty here, but we did speak on the last pod about Man United's title credentials. And these are the kind of performances that you do see from champions, grinding out 1-0 wins away at Burnley. It's positive signs for United, but the real test is going to be when they play Liverpool.
Yeah, big time.
If they can come away with a win at Anfield, when no team has done that in the last couple of years at least, that will really send a message out to the rest of the league. And
huge, massive. If they can go away to Anfield, albeit, there's no crowd, but that could make a big difference. If they come away with even a point, against Liverpool away at Anfield, they've got an incredible run of fixtures after that. I think they've got 7 games. They've got Fulham, Sheffield United, then obviously Arsenal, Saints, Everton, West Brom and Newcastle in their next 7. Now, they could be 6 points ahead maybe at the end of that run if they start to continue to pick up results.
Very, very promising signs, and I think it's impossible for anyone to write them off at the moment.
No, completely agree. I think given what we were all saying at the start of the season, how poor a start United were having, people were calling for Ollie's head. He's turned it around, and I think it's definitely helped the way in which he's now setting up his squad. He's getting a tune out of the likes of Paul Pogba, where obviously we were questioning why he's even still with Man United at some point this season. So to have him now playing, he's got Bruno obviously there. He's been exceptional, as is the case. Rashford's looked particularly sharp. The only player I think that's looked a little bit off recently is Martial. And obviously he's picked up a hamstring twinge, I think it was, against Burnley. Whether he comes back to actually be fit enough, Ollie said that he should be. But I can see Cavani getting the nod again, and maybe Martial drops out, Cavani through the middle, and we could either see Pogba out wide or Greenwood might get a shout.
I think so. I think Cavani looks the sharper of the two at the moment, to be honest. Obviously, Martial, I don't know what's happened to him. It's just not the same Martial we've seen from sort of last season.
No, even this, it's frustrating. Like the one-on-one that he had towards the end. Obviously, I was rooting for it because Cavani would have got the assist. I had Cavani in my free hit team. But Martial, when he's sharp, puts that away all day long. But he just kind of dwelled on it and then missed the chance. It was a terrible finish.
Yeah. Well, I think most strikers will put that one away. And to see a player of his quality to miss that, you can tell his confidence is low.
Yeah, big time. Whereas Burnley, Pope, again, playing really well. Got 6 saves this time. To be fair, had Paul Pogba and Luke Shaw not really stolen the bonus points. Pope should have really been up there for them. But again, he's probably one of these goalkeepers that were priced a little bit too high at the beginning of the season. Nobody really wants to get on him. And now, that he's had 2 11 points, he's had a 6 and a 4 in the last 7 games. You wouldn't really turn that down now, would you?
No, you wouldn't. But I think people will want to see that continuing before they even consider bringing him in.
Yeah.
That price is just a big factor to scare you away, especially when you got the likes of Leno for 0.5 million cheaper.
Exactly. And in fairness, in the next 5, you're not really going to be counting on Burnley clean sheets because, in the next 5, they've got Liverpool away, Chelsea away, Man City at home. Like, you aren't touching them or, you're not going to bring one in, that's for sure.
I agreed.
Right, let's jump on to the third game of the Tuesday, and it was Wolves 1, Everton 2.
Got a little funny story with this one. So my girlfriend played a free hit, obviously, as many of us did. She said, "Oh, should I put Keane in?" I was like, "No, I wouldn't if I were you. I fancy Wolves to score."
Oh, mate, I bet she was fucking fuming.
She was. She literally punched me on my leg. It just gave me a couple of digs. Was like, "Why the hell did you tell me to not put him in?" I don't blame her because I think it was an 11-pointer, something like that.
Yeah. Whereas obviously a lot of people were gambling on Roman size, and he only got what?
I was one of them.
Exactly. I mean, if you were a Michael Keane owner, fair play.
I really fancied Wolves to get a clean sheet here. Based on obviously Calvert-Lewin being out, there was rumours of like Richarlison not being ready. I just had no confidence in Everton scoring, and they scored pretty early on as well, with Iwobi, which I did not see coming, and I was obviously fuming.
Well, yeah, because like you said, it was kind of a weaker Everton side. Without DCL, I don't think Richarlison started either. So, to get that early goal really kind of put them on the front foot. And the chances, Wolves missed, that they did have opportunities, but didn't take them. And then obviously Everton come away, to be fair, probably deservedly winners and continue to pick up results.
Yeah, still flying high in the table, which I think a lot of people, DCL aside, have kind of ignored Everton players. Obviously, Digne got an assist this game. We should consider him. He was like a staple of last season.
Yeah. I think that the one player that I've been really surprised with this season from Wolves, and surprising for a negative way, is Patricio. I just don't think he's making the saves he should be making at the moment.
I'd agree with that. I think he was doing okay the first part of the season, but he sort of tailed off a bit the last like month or so. I don't know if that's in line with like the defence coming out of form as well, so the likes of Bolly being dropped and so on.
Potentially, I mean, yeah, because last season, the Wolves that we know were grinding out results, 1-0s occasionally, and sometimes they go out and beat teams. This season, they've kept one clean sheet in 18 games. It's not good enough.
Yeah, I mean, it could be down to organisation with him, or perhaps they've been sort of found out a little bit. I mean, that kind of novelty and factor and the kind of, they were sort of perceived to be underdogs, whereas they're not now. People prepare for Wolves. They know what they're about.
Yeah, and to be fair, obviously, they've now lost Jimenez through injury. They sold Jota, they sold Doherty. So to lose those players, yeah, they claim, they kind of replaced them as such, but it's not like for like replacements. There's clear gaps in that squad that weren't there last season.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. Like Doherty, although there's obviously a big difference in value in terms of what he was sold for and what Semedo was bought for, but in terms of quality, Doherty was excellent last season.
Yeah.
And I don't see the same from Semedo. I mean, no one's really chucking him in their FPL teams because he's getting a mountain of assists each game or goals.
No,
whereas Doherty was.
Yeah, and it's still a move I don't quite understand. Like, I know you sold the dream of going to Spurs, but it's not working out for him at the moment. Whether it does next season, it might take a season to bed in under Mourinho, but I don't think the way that Spurs play, particularly under Mourinho, suits Doherty, in my opinion.
I think so. Well, yeah, he tends to go with Aurier now, as he kind of fits in better. But we'll see. Maybe it is, as you say, time.
Possibly, yeah. Right, let's jump on to a game where we were expecting goals, and we got one. It was Man City 1, Brighton 0.
First thing to mention, I think, here in this game is the pen miss.
Yeah, fuck me. What a terrible strike.
Yeah, it was quite fun just to have a laugh at someone missing a penalty. Even as a KDB owner, I kind of wanted them to miss, to be honest.
Yeah, well, to be fair, same. As soon as I saw that KDB wasn't the one stepping up, I was crying out for Sterling to miss it. One, because it probably affirms De Bruyne, taking the next one. But it also meant that KDB wasn't going to hurt me as much as I thought he could have done, because I don't think either of us captained him in FPL, did we? And then I didn't captain him in Sky for that game either. I obviously took the punt on going Kane. And albeit De Bruyne got slightly more points through tiers, it could have been an even bigger return if he had stepped up and put that pen away.
Oh, it really could. Yeah, exactly the same reason as you, like for not wanting them to score. Like I didn't captain him, so I didn't want that kind of the captainers to have that edge.
Exactly, and the other thing is obviously it's really hurt people that brought Sterling in on their free hit, because I think at the beginning of the week, Pep claimed that obviously Sterling was fit, and in doing that, a lot of people have gone, right, Sterling starts, obviously. So to see him on the bench, that was a bit of a surprise. To then come on for the last 10 minutes and miss a penalty, it's just...
Must have been an emotional roller coaster. Like you're thinking, oh, brilliant, he's come on. Let's see what he can do. Oh, great, he's stepping up to take the pen. Yeah. And then your heart would have been smashed into pieces. I mean, I can understand bringing in Sterling, because that's the whole ethos of the free hit, that you take a punt on a player that you don't necessarily want long term, but obviously you have that 1 week where you fancy them against, say, a Brighton. Yeah. And it could have paid off on another day. Had Pep started Sterling, he could get a goal and assist, and then we'd all be sat here going, oh, fair play to the people that brought Sterling in. But just tough luck. That's the way FPL goes. Your free hit's been...
Wasn't to be. And obviously the player that got the goal was Phil Foden. Continues to look sharp when he starts games and gets minutes. That's 2 goals and 2 starts for him against both Chelsea and Brighton. The question is, does he continue to play in this formation? I think he deserves to. He's 100% in Man City's best 11. But this is Pep. And often, Foden will play 75 minutes in one game. And then, for instance, he got 75 minutes in West Brom. He then played 1 minute in total against Saints and Newcastle. Like, it's infuriating, because I owned Foden at the start of the season. I think he's an incredible asset. And at 6.3 million, if you can get him as a way into that Man City squad, it's unbelievable. And he's proven time and time again how fucking good he is. But for some reason, he just doesn't get the minutes.
Exactly. And if he got those minutes, we'd all own him. He's an excellent player when he's on the pitch. Obviously, he can't do anything from the bench. He can come off of the bench and score, but if he's not playing, he can't do anything. So hopefully Pep will surely see these performances and play him.
You'd hope so. And they said on BT Sport, and I didn't even realise, but they mentioned that Foden is actually Man City's top goal scorer in all competitions this season. Now,
I heard that, which I found ridiculous.
Yeah, well, that's ridiculous given he's missed half of the games. Imagine what he'd be on had he played, against Fulham, had he played against Saints, had he played against Newcastle. Like, what's going on?
Well, yeah, maybe Man City would be top of the league right now, and clear of anyone else, potentially.
Exactly. And City have got a really nice run of fixtures coming up, which is probably one of the reasons why a lot of us are trying to, scrape KDB back into our teams, bring in a City defender. Because in the double, they're at home to both Villa and Palace. But then they've got West Brom, Sheffield United and Burnley as their next three. Now, it's the time is, now for Man City assets. After that, they've got Liverpool, Tottenham and Arsenal. That'll probably define potentially the run-in for the end of the season. But for now, yeah, I'd be lumping on City. A lot of us have already lumped on them on Sky. I've got 3. I'm potentially going to have 4 in my main team. And I know people have already got 4 and are looking at getting 5.
Oh, it certainly hurt me in Sky not having any City defenders. So I'm going to have a big think about that. The likes of Diaz getting 10 points as most games. So
yeah. That's the thing. They keep clean sheets, and in Sky, they continuously pick up passing tier. Because all they do, when they're controlling games, is they just pass between the centre-backs, back out to the fullback, then back in again. And, come 60, 70 minutes, they've already hit passing tier 2.
Exactly. Shall we move on to Spurs Fulham?
I think we should, yeah. And a somewhat surprising result, given, Fulham's COVID cases and Scott Parker's anger towards the Premier League. But I thought Fulham played brilliantly, and it was Spurs 1, Fulham 1.
Yeah, another strong Fulham performance. I've seen people banter a stat about that Fulham haven't conceded more than 2 goals in quite a while. I think it's like over 8 games or around that amount, the last 6 at least. So they've clearly shored things up at the back, and they look just like a team. They're working well together, and to get a draw away at Spurs is something to be proud of. And yeah. I think they can take confidence from this that they can stay in the league.
Oh, 100%. I don't think Fulham will go down. Obviously, Cavallero got his goal. Thought he took it really well. Like, really good header. In fairness, Dyer should maybe challenge a bit better, but he gets up, takes it. Areola was brilliant in goal, particularly in the first half. I mean, Son should have scored twice. Obviously, that touch with his left foot that you thought flies in, Areola gets there. And then Son should be scoring that header, but another exceptional save.
Yeah, and he also hit the post as well. Son was so unlucky. Yeah. On another day, he gets a haul here, to be honest. But yeah, great performance from the Fulham keeper. And yeah, just very impressive performance from him, to be honest. I didn't really see it coming as well. I fancied Spurs in this game.
So did I. Like, as soon as you saw, unbelievable goal for Spurs. That cross from Reguilon to then fire it into Kane in a diving header. Like, you love to see a diving header. Like, you see it on a Sunday league football pitch, you go mad. You see it in the Premier League, you jump out of your seat, Stunning finish. And at that point, I thought, right, okay, Spurs have got the lead. They'll try and control the game a bit more, maybe, pick up another return, and then they'll see it out. But Fulham just dug in and kept going and going. And in fairness, towards the end of the game, Fulham looked the fitter team, given the short turnaround.
I think so. And yeah, my heart was broken, to be honest, when Spurs lost that clean sheet. As a Lloris owner,
yeah,
I thought about Reguilon, and I was like, no, I can have Lloris, it's fine. But then obviously Reguilon gets the assist. Lloris comes away with nothing. Obviously, he had a few saves, but I think he finished on 3, I think.
Yeah, it's a little bit frustrating. Like, it's one of those things that you think, yeah, right, okay, I'll back that clean sheet. We both brought in Lloris in our free hit and didn't pay off, did it?
No, very disappointing.
Right, let's move on to the final game, and a game that I expected a lot more, to be fair, and we didn't really get anything from it. It was Arsenal 0, Crystal Palace 0.
How I saw a conversation on Twitter earlier that made me chuckle. So, like in the context of Sky, someone was talking about how they were just loving watching David Luiz pass it to Holding and back and forth.
Yeah.
I don't own either of them, but I appreciated it from now playing Sky, like with the tiers and the passes. You can appreciate elements of the game that you normally wouldn't give a shit about, and suddenly makes a dull game interesting.
That was one of the only things I actually enjoyed about this game was obviously Leno. Like, I thought he had hit saved here. He didn't, which was frustrating. Probably should have at least got 3 saves on that game. But to watch Holding continuously pass it around the back, knowing that I owned him, was brilliant. Like, probably one of the only enjoyable things. And it wasn't the Arsenal that I thought we'd see. Obviously Tierney missed out with a knock, which was frustrating, particularly for both of us. We, again, both brought him in our free hit teams. That didn't pay off.
I didn't. I had Saka and Lacazette.
There you go. But it's fucking annoying. Like, to see him miss out was frustrating. And then to see that Arsenal performance, obviously a lot of us punted on 3 Arsenal players thinking, right, okay, we've got returns. And then obviously you got nothing from Saka, nothing from Emile Smith-Rowe, nothing from Lacazette. If you've got the clean sheets from Arsenal players, that was definitely the way to go.
Yeah, it certainly was. I didn't see a clean sheet coming, to be honest. I expected a game full of goals, and that's not what happened. I expected Zaha to return. I expected like a kind of a 3-1 Arsenal kind of game. Maybe 2 from Lacazette, maybe 1 from a Smith-Rowe or Saka, but wasn't to be. Quite disappointing on the free hit, to be honest. That kind of deflated my free hit a little bit.
Yeah, same, particularly given I had Mitchell third on my bench that didn't come on.
As did I, yeah.
Yeah, it was just irritating. But I'm hoping, we see maybe a better performance from Arsenal next week. Again, particularly for Sky, they've got a single game day. So most of us will be captaining, an Arsenal defender in that. But in my cup team, I was behind for the Sky Cup going into this Arsenal game. So I thought, you know what, fuck it, I'm going to gamble. I brought in Saka and Lacazette, already having Holding and Leno, but I thought that whoever I was playing may already have those players. Stupidly then put the captaincy on Lacazette, thinking, right, Arsenal have got goals in this. He got fuck all, and I was so panicked. Like, I went to bed thinking, fuck this. I was fuming with myself. To wake up in the morning and see that I'd won by 12 points was a dream. So obviously whoever I was playing didn't actually have any Arsenal players.
No, typical, but you never know. It could have happened the other way around and you'd been kicking yourself for not using transfers. So
exactly.
Well done, and 1 step away from the quarters.
Yeah, tell me about it. We'll get on to Sky shortly. Right, how did you get on in FPL this week then?
Now, I'm pretty sure we finished on the same amount of points here. 50. 50 points. 3 from Lloris, 1 from Size, 6 from Stones, and 7 from Diaz. A midfield, which is the same as yours, I'm pretty sure. A Saka 3, Fernandes 2, Kevin De Bruyne 6, and a Son 2.
Yep, snap.
Up front, Lacazette 2, Wilson 2, and a Captain Kane of 8 double to 16, and that's my 50.
Yeah, there wasn't really a lot of difference between us player-wise, to be honest. Like, obviously, I had Lloris. I got the Cancelo and Stones double up, both obviously getting 6, which was useful. And then up top, my only difference was Cavani rather than Lacazette, and he didn't get anything either. So I had Smith-Rowe sat on my bench with 3, wouldn't really make a difference. But like I said, the frustration was having Fernandes of Newcastle come on for his 2 points rather than Mitchell for his 8, because Fernandes was cheap enough, so I brought him in, and I really thought that Newcastle would get a clean sheet against Sheffield United. And like you said, I thought there'd be plenty of goals in the Arsenal Palace game. So annoyingly, I've seen a lot of people on Twitter getting that 8 points from Mitchell as well, which has fucked me off even more.
Yeah, no, that's annoyed me as well. I mean, I understand the same thing with Newcastle. I had Yedlin second on my bench because I thought they'd get a clean sheet. So if any of my defenders missed out, I'd have Yedlin coming in, but hey-ho, Mitchell's last on my bench as well.
Yeah, what can you do, eh? I mean, we both got 50 points. I think that's a pretty reasonable return from a free hit. particularly when I had 4 players available had I not played my free hit. So it had to be done.
Yeah, green arrow for me up to 600k. Back from the 800k nightmare that I've had. Finally a green arrow after 4 red arrows in a row.
There you go. You see, turn it around already. Right. Obviously, we've got the double game week coming up. Quick turnaround. So obviously, we've recorded on the Friday, just because we didn't want to record during a game week, as we do our match reviews. That's only fair. Do you know what you're doing for this double game week?
Roughly is the answer to that question. So I'm pretty sure I'm going to play my bench boost.
Okay.
It's just a question of what transfers I'll do. I might do 1. I might do 2 and take a hit. So obviously the hit will allow me to upgrade or downgrade someone, whereas I've just got to do a like-for-like replacement if I've only used 1 transfer. So what I might do is just take out Kyle Walker-Peters and replace him with a player that plays twice.
Okay.
Might be simple transfer, boring transfer, but effective.
Yeah.
However, I wouldn't mind moving on Anguissa or Lookman to a player that I'd prefer. I mean, they've both got 2 games, so you could look at it as a minimum of 4 points each, or gamble on someone else with 2 fixtures that I fancy more.
So who's
whoever?
If you're playing your bench boost, which 4 players are going to be on your bench?
Currently, it's Martinez, Lookman, Walker-Peters, and Anguissa.
Okay, so you've got 3 doubles in there.
Yeah, so they're all doubles except from Kyle, who I'm thinking of taking out.
Yeah. So if you replace Kyle with a double, then you've got that. Have you got 11 doubles starting as well?
No. Well, yes, with the exception of obviously Kane and Son, who've got the single game, and then Bamford. I see that Brighton fixture as a tasty one.
Yeah, no, I agreed. So yeah, I genuinely think that's bench boost material. Whereas I'm in a different boat. I was all set to bench boost, and then obviously the Leeds Saints game has been postponed because the game against Shrewsbury has been popped into the middle, or the game week coming up, midweek, which is bloody annoying because I've got 5 players from that game. So I've gone from having a bench boost with Adams, Walker-Peters, Rafinha and Meslier, all doubling, to Meslier, Adams, Walker-Peters not. And obviously Balbuena is isolating and has probably lost his place to Dawson anyway. So Balbuena was going to be the move I was going to make. And I was potentially going to take a hit to upgrade Son to KDB with a view to still bench boost. And I thought, right, well, that bench boost could probably get me at least 20 points because, 4 doublers. I'm now stuck with having Meslier, as a single, Adams and Walker-Peters singles against Leicester. I think that's a tough fixture away. And then Balbuena's got COVID. So I'm tempted to take a bit of a punt and take a -8. Still not bench boosting, but with a view to then getting rid of Son, bringing in Kevin De Bruyne. I may well drop Robbo to Stones. I know it's a kind of more like-for-like move, but I think City are more likely to keep 2 clean sheets. And then it allows me the funds to potentially upgrade Rafinha. The other route would be to do Kane to Antonio, Son to De Bruyne. So
some interesting combinations there.
Yeah.
Who would your goalkeeper be? So you've got
my
Meslier.
Goalkeeper is Johnston.
Would you play Johnston with his 2 fixtures over Meslier?
Yeah.
You reckon?
Yeah,
I feel like Meslier might keep a clean sheet and Johnston might not keep a clean sheet in either.
Well, even if Meslier keeps a clean sheet, I think there'll be goals. So I can't see him getting bonus. So he's probably maximum likely to get 6.
I guess you might get the saves out of the 2 games as well.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. With Johnston, he's a save magnet, isn't he? So even if he picks up 3 points in each game, gets 3 saves in each one, gets a couple of points, he's matched him. And I really think with Big Sam, they could potentially keep a clean sheet in one of these games. So I've got to take the risk with a double game week goalkeeper. I'd be more hurt if Johnson was sat on my bench with 15 points from this rather than Meslier's 6. So I got some thinking to do this evening. Obviously, I probably want to make my moves tonight. I don't like making them early, obviously with COVID, but I've seen that players are due to rise and fall, which is a bit of a
Oh God, yeah, it's tomorrow, isn't it?
tomorrow. Yeah,
Time
honestly,
is flying.
the turnaround is ridiculous. Keeps us on our toes, that's for sure.
It certainly is. So, talking of toes, I mean, it's not related, but you're doing really well in Sky.
In what way do toes in Sky relate?
There's literally no link there whatsoever. But let's move on to Sky and
toes. Let's
you,
move on to Sky.
you
Yeah,
do well.
yeah. It's come as a surprise, and obviously it just continues to be a surprise. I got 71 points in my main team this week, and it now sees me sitting at 36th in the world, which is baffling. I genuinely thought, I'll be happy to hit top 1K this year. Now I'm going to be really annoyed if I don't finish in the top 50. I've got 21 transfers left. Things are falling into place nicely with fixtures, which has helped. Obviously, I brought in Leno quite a while ago. Arsenal have now got 2 single game days. He's an obvious captain. Man City have been brilliant for me, obviously having Diaz and Cancelo. Like you said, with not having City defenders, that's probably going to hurt. Luckily, I got on there. And then, last week, it worked out really well. I had 7 players play, and obviously to get 71 points from 7 players, can't really complain. Made one move, Salah to Kane, obviously for captaincy. That covered it well. And I will bring Salah back for the Burnley game, because obviously that's a single game day. I'm aiming for overhaul to probably have 19 transfers left. So I think that'll be a decent number. And in my second team, it got through the cup again, which obviously I've mentioned. I was worried. I was behind going into the Arsenal game and thought, this is it. That's it, ruined. I'll just, have a bit of fun with this team going into the last 4 weeks before overhaul. But no, it got through. And I've now found out that I'm against a chap, what's his name? Chris Easby. And I mentioned the name on Twitter. Straight away got a reply saying, check his Twitter account. Had a look. He doesn't really post much, about Sky now, but he finished 5th overall 2 years ago. So he knows what he's doing.
Tough competition there. But if you can come through at the other side, then you're doing well. And we'll touch on sort of how it's gone for you on one of the questions we've got at the end.
How are you getting on in Sky?
Okay is the answer to that question. I've not made any transfers during this week, just because I want to navigate through. I like the players I've got coming up, so I've gone through it with sort of 6 and 7, actually no, 4 men in one team. So the points are coming for me, but I've not actually managed to fall too much during this period, which is okay. So I feel like I'm going to make some gains next week when the players that I've had that haven't been playing are playing. So, and also I can use some transfers as well because I've not made any recently. What I would say as a new player to the game is I need to be a bit more strict. I planned on bringing in Leno after I got the Ramsdale clean sheet and I forgot and didn't do it. So if I did, I'd have got that clean sheet.
Would have been captaincy as well, wouldn't it? So.
Yeah, well, I had Zaha in both teams, so I still may have captained Zaha. So I'm not sure if actually in the back of my mind that might have put me off because I own Zaha.
Maybe.
Potentially that put me off.
How many transfers have you got left?
20 in both. Okay. So still a decent amount to play with. Yeah. Hopefully more than the people in front of me, so I can sort of attack.
You'll still make gains, 100%.
Yeah, I think so. And I'm still getting a feel for the game. I'm really enjoying it, and I'm happy to be 6K in one team and 20 odd in the other team.
I still think you can aim for top 1K in that main team. There's no reason why not. So
that's what I'm going for. I'm going for top K, and then I'll be happy.
Have you looked at captains at all for the upcoming week?
I've got on my spreadsheet. However, I think things have changed, haven't they? Obviously, things are changing all the time, so I may have to review it. But I think that my team's quite evenly distributed, so I think I should have captain coverage based on what I did earlier this week.
All right. Yeah. Well, I think for this Saturday, I'm going Bamford. Sunday, I've got a debate between going, Cancelo, Diaz, they're constants. 9s, 10s, or going with KDB again. I'm not sure. Obviously, Tottenham also play away to Sheffield United. So there's quite a few captaincy coverages there. And then obviously Bruno against Liverpool. So there's some big players on Sunday. I may well go KDB. Monday, I've got Leno coverage against Newcastle, so that's fine. Tuesday, at the moment, the only coverage I've got is Zuma against Leicester. So I might look at that. I'm not really sure it's worth it. It will solely depend on if Antonio is starting. And obviously we get the team lineup, because if Antonio starts, I may well go from Prowse to Antonio, because obviously the Saints game's been postponed. So
that would make sense.
I think that might be the move that I make. And then
I think Vardy is going to start on the Saturday, because obviously his flag's gone in the game.
Yeah,
so he may well
good. Yeah,
because he will be my captain choice in Team 1. Because otherwise I don't have coverage, I don't think, in that game, actually, funnily enough. Whereas I have on the other team, I think I have a choice. I can go for Neto. I'll probably go for Neto, to be honest, against West Brom.
Okay, yeah. No, I think the two moves that I probably will make this week will be Prowse to Antonio for captaincy coverage, and then probably Kane back to Salah for the captaincy coverage on the Thursday. And then the only issue I have is, I know I said I wanted 19, but then looking at the fixtures, we've obviously had that Villa game rescheduled. Now that's a single game day now, which is frustrating, and I don't have Aston Villa coverage. So I'm probably going to want to bring in Jack Grealish, and it may well be for Zuma. So
that made me glad I held him with my kind of no transfer strategy. It's actually sort of paid off in a way.
It's making those little moves, and obviously I think they're worth it, because even 18 for the overhaul, I think it's a good number to have post overhaul. But it's just these little changes, these little tweaks, because of COVID, all adds up.
I think that's where you made these gains. Obviously, if you're not making those moves, you don't get those gains, like the 3-for-1s, and then obviously the main captain days. If you nail those captaincy picks, as you say, each week, like there can be difference between sort of 20 points, or you just miss it out altogether.
Yeah, no, agreed, 100%. Right, well, that's enough about Sky, because we'll cover it in the questions. I see we got a couple of questions about it. So let's jump on to ChampMan, and I'll let you go first.
Yeah, very happy with this, especially seeing as you called me out on Twitter saying he talks the talk, but will he walk the walk? And then I go and get more points in.
Yeah, you did this time.
So let's start with the Sunderland defence. So we've got 6 points for Sullivan, 8 for Issa, and 8 for Tone. Nice. 5 at the back. Ashley Cole getting fuck all. What a waste of money. I wish he was Sylvester, but I've never had time to make that move. And now their fixtures are turning, so I might as well just carry on keeping Ashley Cole. 6 points for Ian Hart, off the bench. So I was loving life with that, to be honest. Yeah, I think it was Irons that said Hart assist, Viduka goal. So thanks, Irons. I'll take that all day long.
He did indeed.
3 points for Hippier. A midfield 2 of Izzet and Petkov, both returning with 7 points each. And then a rather disappointing away strike force, which I kind of did it to a degree expect. 2 points from Yule, 2 from Boxic, but a rather disappointing captaincy with Van Nistelrooy just getting 2 double to 4.
Yeah, that was the most annoying bit. I got 41 this week, which somehow, I mean, it was obviously a shit week for most. The average was quite low. Somehow saw me gain 9 places with 41 points. So I'm up to 109. But yeah, I think that Sunderland clean sheet definitely helped. Obviously, I had Sullivan and Tome. You've got Issa as well as those two. Other than that, it was really disappointing. Like, I had Christie, brought him in for his assist. Yeah, it was okay. He had 6 shots on target. Didn't get a goal. Like, fucking annoying. 6 shots. I think it was 3 on target looking at the stats. But still, piss take. Rebrov, obviously, Spurs score fucking 4 goals. Nothing. Not even a single return. And I know they kept taking the piss of, tactician on the screen. Yeah. I'm sat there fucking fuming in the background. Like, are you taking the piss? Like 2 weeks ago, I took out Viduka and brought in Rebrov for this little run of fixtures. I thought, yeah, Spurs have got goals in them. And they've had goals in them.Rebrov's just not been a part of them.
I essentially translated those insults from Andy Martin to you. Every time I heard Andy Martin, I was hearing Matt, basically. I was like, Matt's not going to be pleased. It's another goal.
Matt was not pleased. Honestly, I was fucking furious.
Not even on the assist, like every time.
I don't get it. Like, I know this is this game, and it's all well and good, running sims and all that stuff. But sometimes in our sim, it just fucks you up the arse, and it did this time. It's frustrating, and to obviously then see players like Izzet continuously, return, and I've not jumped on him. I just need to make some decisions as to whether, I keep hold of Rebrov, whether I maybe try and gamble and go back to Viduka. I honestly don't know. I need to sit down and have a proper think, because something's not quite right with my team at the moment, and it's frustrating. So I need to have a quick look and then try and make some gains again.
Yeah, it's a tricky one, but you're still sitting pretty. So you're only a couple of transfers away from it being okay again.
Yeah, well, the most annoying thing is the fact that I look at my team next week and I've got 10 players playing at home. Van Nistelrooy will probably inevitably be captain again. I can see plenty of returns there, but it's the weeks that, where generally people are having bad game weeks, and I'm one of them. When people then, you see on Twitter and amongst the community, there's 60s and whatnot. And obviously you got a good return this week. You're gaining like 20 points on people that have had a poor week that week. And that's a big, big margin. So I'll have to wait and see. But I think the stream is going to be crucial on Sunday. I'll definitely be tuning in, because I want to not only see the stats, maybe run through those. The guys post those on Twitter, which is quite helpful after the game. So it's really worth looking at those. But yeah, I think there's some good conversation to be had on there, and fingers crossed that might justify some of the transfers I'm thinking about.
Yeah, may well do. I mean, there's a lot of great resource out there: the Discord, the Twitter, the YouTube as well, particularly with the sim data that's ran on there. It's quite great. Right,
let's jump onto the questions then, mate. And first of all, the mighty Steve Bird. Oh, I love this man. Honestly, me and him have good conversations on Twitter. He's such a nice guy. He's always asking how I am. Obviously, as soon as I then posted about, going into isolation, he was immediately messaging me, just, making sure I was okay. Such a genuinely, probably one of the nicest guys within the community. So thanks for constantly supporting.
I'd say so. Yeah, he puts out some great feedback. He's always interacting with people on a variety of chats. So nice to hear from you, Steve.
Very much so. Well, first question, quite an amusing one. Which of you would suit a monocle best, and why?
Neither of us would particularly suit a monocle, but I think I might be able to edge it with the beard.
Yeah, I was going to say very similar. Yeah, exactly. I think you with your beard, obviously if we've gone to jazz bars or whatnot, you'd probably be the one sitting there, with a long cigar, your little glass of whiskey. I think the monocle would probably go quite well with that scenario, whereas I'd be there in my hoodie, for those on the YouTube. Got the old Season Keepers hoodie on today, so loving it. But
like to see.
I would not suit a monocle at all. I barely suit my glasses, let alone wearing a monocle. So, second question from Steve, and a slightly more serious one. Can you really plan ahead with all of the constant changes due to COVID? And if you do and it all goes wrong, how do you not let it get to you? Because I know some who have been struggling with it.
It definitely feels like you can't plan. It's extremely frustrating to see these sort of your plans essentially tore up. But I've been mindful of this, and with my free hit that I activated this week, I left the planning as late as possible, because I just, with the way COVID is in our country currently, any game could get called off with days or even hours notice. So it is hard to see those plans get torn up every 5 minutes with these new fixtures. But I think that's why you've got to have a sort of a vague idea of what you want to do, but don't put too much effort into it until, say, 1 or 2 days before the deadline, because it could quite easily be irrelevant. Then, 2 days later, you need to be ready to adapt now. I think that's the it's a tough environment.
Oh yeah, no, completely agree. Like even for instance, the Villa game. Obviously Villa went from doubling to not doubling back to doubling. And I had people messaging me in between saying, "Oh, well, now Villa haven't got a double. What do I do?" And I was like, "Well, wait. Like, don't do anything because they might not even play. Like, you don't know yet." And then it turns out that they've had a fixture rearranged, and now they've got a double again. So that's the short notice that we're getting.
Exactly. Yeah, you'd feel a mug if you say took Grealish out, and then you're like, oh fuck, they're playing now anyway. So you're better off just waiting and leaving decisions as late as possible is imperative in these kind of conditions.
Yeah, big time. And obviously, the bit where you mentioned about people struggling with it, it's a game at the end of the day, and that's what we have to really see. Like, it's all well and good. We've got this Twitter community. We kind of focus a lot of time into all these games. Obviously, we speak about Sky, ChampMan, and FPL, and we spend a lot of time planning, a lot of time having fun with them. But if a game gets too much, step away. Honestly, like it's not worth the effects of your mental health for a game to take that much lead in affecting your livelihood. So if it really does get that too much, step away.
Agreed. Thankfully, it doesn't really impact me like that. All it is really for me is a bit of a time sap, so I can lose 2 hours just thinking about FPL. But I won't be beating myself up about it. If I score 26 points like I did a couple of weeks ago, I don't beat myself up.
Exactly. Like I've mentioned with the Leeds Saints game, like my plan was always to bench boost, and I've had that in from the moment I wildcarded. So for 4 weeks later, for that to be torn up, it's frustrating. But I can't let it get to me. It just it happens, and I'll just use that another time.
Yeah, exactly. Look forward to playing it another time.
Yeah,
26 or whenever.
Exactly. Right. Let's jump on to a question from Craig Kemp, and another really useful podcast from him the other day about Chadwick. Annoyingly, I didn't take that punt, but thankfully, I was really glad when he stubbed his toe and then fucked off the pitch after getting his one goal. So that was quite good. But does the Ruud van Nistelrooy blank versus Millwall have any impact on future decisions to captain an away player, or has it not changed your thought process? Lots of strong home captaincies this week, but also Viduka away to Charlton.
Yeah, excellent question. Prior to this week, my mind was very much Captain Ruud pretty much every game, regardless of if it's away or not, because they, even on the sim data for away games, they still tend to look quite strong. And I do like to think that this will be a rare occurrence of Ruud against blanking against like a sort of lower rep team away.
I think
and yeah, it was a massive shock. Like you look at the sim data, they were like averaging like over 2.5 goals across the sims. Yeah. So it was a real surprise to see him come away with nothing, and obviously for them to lose.
Yeah, and I think the biggest surprise was the fact that even before the red card, they were 2-1 down.
Yeah. So they can't even blame the bread. they weren't doing great before. Like I was surprised enough with the first goal going in, but yeah, to see Millwall score a second was it was a shock. Yeah. But it's not going to be happening for again. I don't think in the near future anyway. It may happen once or twice this season, but I feel like Ruud away will still be a good captain against most teams.
Yeah, I think you're right. Like I went Ruud. I didn't really question it, to be honest. And I know Craig, I believe, went Viduka captain. So fair play. Like he's got the returns there. I think it's also slightly different with the way that certain teams set up. So obviously we know that Leeds have a very different setup away from home, and they don't tend to perform that well. Whereas obviously we know that Man United generally will go to attack teams, or at least play normal, which is why we'll take the punt on Ruud, away against the likes of Millwall. It probably wouldn't change my mind either. Like, I think this season particularly, I've maybe looked to see if there is a better option than Ruud, rather than going straight to him every time. But generally, there often isn't, and that's one of the big things. Like this week, for instance, I may look to maybe go Boksic from Rebrov. I think that Borough fixture is quite a tasty one, but I'll still go captain and Ruud at home to Sunderland. So I think the away option, it's always there. It's always in your back of your mind. But when it comes to Ruud, both ownership and, the way that Man United play, generally I think I'll probably always tend to go him if I've got him in my squad.
It makes sense too. It's a boring but low risk strategy, to be honest.
Exactly. And we're boring but low risk people. So, right. Final question in from Rob Reed. How are you so high up in Sky FF? What has gone well for you, and how have you done it? Any general tips for people new to the game?
I'll let you answer this one.
Honestly, I don't know. No, that's wrong. Planet FPL and the Fantasy Football Sky podcasts have been exceptional. I listen to them religiously every week that they're out. I'll sit there, I'll take notes. The content that those guys churn out and their kind of understanding of the game is brilliant. Obviously, they've got players that have won the game on the Fantasy Sky Hub, and James at Planet FPL, he knows his shit. He's damn good at what he does, and having a spreadsheet has been massive for me. I've got Ian Parron's. I'm a member of the Fantasy Football Hub. I paid for that solely so I could get this spreadsheet because I'd heard good things about it, and I don't think I could have maintained rank and maintained my transfers had I not used it, because I think planning in this game is what you need. And if you go off the ball with it, if you miss a transfer, it can fuck your season, in all fairness. So
it's a good investment by the looks of it, because you could be on for the cup.
Exactly, yeah. Honestly, planning and content is massive, and I think taking in as much as you can, the kind of podcasts and the content and even the people, I had a message from Dan Cox earlier, for instance, when I said about, getting through the cup. And he said, look, my DMs are open if you need any advice. So people are there. They're willing to help. So for you as a new player, that's that. Because both me and James are new this season. I never expected to get where I am. I never expected to enjoy it as much as I am. And in all fairness, I actually prefer it to FPL. I think there's more fun to be had. And the prizes are a fucking damn lot better as well. In the cup, you can win £1,000, you get 250 quid if you come second, but you get 50k if you win the whole thing. And even if you come fifth, you still get a console. What do you get in FPL? You get a fucking goodie bag. So
exactly. There is a big gulf in the prizes. But yeah, I've really enjoyed the game too, to be honest. There's more complexity in Sky, and it is enjoyable to think about.
Massively. I'm about to run out of battery, so carry on.
Well, I think we've covered everything there. I think that's all the questions. Thank you for sending them in. I hope you've enjoyed this pod. We've been able to talk a little bit more expansively due to there only being 6 games. Thank you for listening, and it's a goodbye from me.
Yeah, and thank you as always, folks. And it's a goodbye from me. Good luck for the double game week.
Thanks,